Good afternoon, Aimee. Thanks so much for joining us on this week's Business Owner Spotlight. Do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and just tell everybody a bit about what it is you do?
Sure. So thank you for having me and asking me to do this. I am Aimee Buckley and I am a co-founder of Neo Digital Media, which is a digital marketing, digital media business based in Northern Ireland. So
Excellent. And how long have you guys been going then?
So Neo is a pretty young company so far. It's only been going for, we've actually just celebrated a year and
Okay.
like a few months this month. So yeah, not that long, but I've been involved in videography and doing freelance pretty much since I was about 16, 17.
Okay.
So it's just kind of cementing it all together and creating a project that we can do it through. So.
Fantastic. And congratulations on your anniversary. I mean, the first year in business, they say, is the hardest. So well done. Who would you describe as your ideal customer? Or who would you most like to seek out as a customer?
I don't believe there necessarily is an ideal customer because
Okay.
the joy that I find in what I do is the kind of the extent of things that I can work on. So I've worked on projects for kind of famed brands, whiskey brands, but then I've also done work on farms. I've
Okay.
also done work in like water sports companies. It's ranged.
Yeah.
So I think that's the fun part. It's maybe if you ask like the best kind of type of client is just someone that allows you to be creative and to kind of take a lead on it, I suppose, but
Yeah.
also respect their wishes and what they want their project to look like at the end of the day.
Course. But anybody who wants to maybe promote their business through video, essentially, is that
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
exactly. Especially nowadays because video is pretty much the best way to market your company. It says so many things and more than a photo can say, more than
yeah,
words can say, because visually people learn better whenever they watch something, so they retain information so much better. So it's just kind of proving to be a great thing for businesses to have, and to be able to work with them and to create that for them is great fun, to be honest.
fantastic. And so you guys are going 12 months or just over. What has COVID had an impact on that industry, and what sort of measures have you had to implement then to get around that?
I would say it might be quite different to other industries that are out there, but the video marketing industry, from my perspective, has actually grown
Okay.
since COVID. Because if we go back to whenever we were all locked down in our houses, we were all sitting there with our phones
Yeah.
and going, oh, and scrolling through things, scrolling through content. It was business ways of being like, oh, people can't come to us, so here we're going to film and bring it into people's houses and be there for them virtually.
Yeah.
So if anything, it's actually helped the industry,
Yeah.
and especially whenever you're freelance as well. It's and kind of smaller businesses, it's helped tie into that because then the local businesses are also seeing it as a way to kind of to move forward. And
Yeah.
then on the grander scheme of things, tech companies have seen the growth of camera use,
Yeah.
especially then through COVID, where people kind of went out and got their cameras or got into hobbies more. So they're now creating more cameras that you don't need to spend a whole fortune on to be able to create something that is really spectacular.
Yeah.
So I would say that it's helped more than anything. Obviously, there were trials during it as you couldn't be near people, but as we've come out of that, it's kind of just continued to grow, which has been great.
Fantastic. And so that's a little bit about the business and about the industry. What about you? What's been the biggest learning you've had since you've been in business for yourself?
Biggest learning, I would say whenever you start or whenever you're younger, you kind of think that it's all just going to happen at once, and you might kind of start some of these very big grand plans of how it's going to go, and sometimes it doesn't. And I would say the thing that I've learned, the best thing I've learned is with every high, there might be a low, and that's okay.
Mhm.
There's going to be peaks and troughs, but that's ultimately fine if you just stay true to what you want to do and where you want to go. Just keep going on it, but then accept that there might be a change in the road. Something might come up that you didn't expect, and just to go with it and see where it leads, because you don't know if one door closes, another one opens, and you don't know where that might lead you. So I guess it's just having that in your head whenever you start something.
Yeah. So just being able to adapt to the situation you maybe can't control then.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. And what aside from COVID, and I appreciate the business isn't going that long, but what have been the biggest challenges you've had to overcome?
Biggest challenges I've had to overcome. I would say with what I was saying earlier of how kind of COVID did speed up the whole video business. It's also speeded up. People want things quickly. We
Okay.
all do. Like
Yeah.
from just even whenever we order something as menial as that, we want it the next day. It's
Yes.
sometimes in your head you can think, oh, I need to get this product or this project out as soon as I possibly can, and then you can sometimes put more pressure on yourself than maybe you should do. So I
Yeah.
think that can sometimes be a challenge of just kind of keeping your own like what is possible within your mindset, so you don't just keep saying yes to everything and then realizing a week later that you've taken on maybe too much to do that week, and then that sort of thing. So just being realistic
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
important.
And what about yourself then? So what have you learned about yourself during your journey?
Ooh, ooh. Hmm. I think you learn many things as you go along, don't you? And then sometimes that might change. What have I learned? I've learned that I have been very lucky in the career that I've gone forward in, because as I've kind of been, obviously, as you grow up, you kind of hear of people saying that they're not enjoying their jobs, but like they're doing it to have a job, etc. Whereas I've been the opposite, and be like, I really enjoy what I do, and I've kind of learned that that hasn't ever wavered. I've been
Cool.
interested in videography since I was, God, at least 15,
Yeah.
16, and kind of started with photography, and then I got into videography and learned that you can just tell so many stories through it. And I've kind of learned from doing that I still love doing it. And I
Yes.
love talking to people about their own stories and kind of showing that, like with projects I've done. I kind of think it's important to put through a client's story rather than just ABC done, just get that out there. It's more what's behind it, it's the
Yeah.
person's story. So I love hearing stories about people and their business or their project or event, whatever it might be. So
Yeah.
probably that.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So you can tell you have a passion for it, and that definitely comes across. So what who's been the best coach you've ever had, and why would you say that?
Ah, that's good show I had. I I think actually might be a cliche answer, but an honest one nonetheless is probably my parents,
Yeah.
to be honest, because they're so supportive
Mhm.
of everything that I do and just want to be there to help. But also whenever things maybe aren't that great as well, they're there to kind of bolster me up and keep me
Sure.
up. But whenever things are really good, keep me grounded as well. So keep it all level and balance. And with like as you're running a business, there are things that pop up that you didn't even imagine would, like, I have no idea what this is, and then you would go to someone that you trust and respect and be like, can you help me, and what is this, what should I do, what's the best way to navigate it. And
Yes.
they're always there to do it in the best way for me, and to help me, not to in any sort of bad way. So I would say that.
And have you picked up any favorite quotes or sayings that you lean on along the way?
um I have one. I'm going to read it from my screen here so I don't mess it up.
Okay.
It is that marketing is no longer about the stuff that you make, but about the stories you tell, which is kind of hits on what I was saying earlier of, which is actually realize how well that ties in with what I was saying about how
Yeah.
I believe that, and like what I do is marketing essentially is telling a story. And as we all, at the rise of subscription services like Netflix and Amazon Prime, etc., and watching more TV, watching more movies, we're taking in those stories even from social media. It's people want to hear the stories more than they just want to see, here is a product, you should
Yeah.
go and buy it. They want to know, why does this person want it, and what is their story, what is their background. They want that human touch to things to be
Yeah.
more relatable. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And what's behind the brand and how that comes
yeah.
about? Yeah.
Why is it relatable to me? Why should I have it? So
Yeah. And what if you were to start your business again, what would you do differently, or would you do anything differently?
no different. I don't know. What would I do differently? I think that's an answer that is ever changing, isn't it? Is as you learn new things, you kind of think, oh, I wish I had known that at the start.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, that's also part of the entire journey.
It
You
is.
can't go into something thinking like knowing everything, because you're not going to know everything. You're going to constantly learn. I think if you go into something and think that you do know it all, then that's a problem. You need to be
Totally agree.
accepting that things are going to pop up. You need to learn from them. So I don't think there's something I would change, but I'm constantly changing it anyway. So.
And what does the future look like for you then? What do you see as the main challenges moving forward?
Main challenge. Probably, and I think maybe a few maybe other industries and such would agree with it, with every kind of pro that there is. Like I was saying about kind of the growth of cameras and how we all have a camera in our pocket essentially now. It's that also rises competition, and then people might think, oh well, I have a phone, well, and I can video. I have a small camera that's in my cupboard. Why do I need you to do it for me? And I think that can sometimes be a challenge, because you need to then kind of be very aware of what you're saying to someone, being like completely understand, but it's a very different way of doing something. It's like you can cook a meal at home and that's fine, but whenever you go out to a restaurant, it's completely different. It's a different experience. It's a different product at the end of the day. So I think that's probably the biggest challenge, is just, keeping up with everything, especially as everything keeps changing and keeps getting better. It's keeping on top of that, but not chasing it. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Totally agree. And good analogy. And last question then, if you were speaking to somebody who was thinking of going into business for themselves, what piece of advice would you give them?
I would say don't rush into things. Like take the time to think, okay, well, how can I make this doable? It might be what you really want to do, but make sure that it's feasible. And that doesn't mean that you need to have every single little thing lined up and perfect before you do it, but just make sure that you know what it is you're taking on. Make sure you know what it is. If it fails, be prepared for that.
Yeah.
And like I said, don't let it impact you or hurt you too much. And whenever you work like for yourself, if you do freelance or you have a small company, it's important to keep yourself and that very separate, because it can be so easy to just like see emails coming up on your phone all the time, and it can be easy to be like, oh, I'm sitting here watching a TV show, oh, but I really should be working. It's important to define your own work hours in your head. That might mean that you're working, say, like 2 p.m. until 10 p.m. one day.
Yeah.
Okay, well, fine. Well, then that means tomorrow I'll take the morning off to kind of compensate for that. It's making sure you give yourself enough time to keep living your own life as well alongside it. That's so important. I can emphasize that enough. It's really, really important.
Yeah, just having that discipline to build some time in for recovery.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't take care of your own, I guess, like kind of well-being, then everything else is going to slide. As you start sliding down, it's all going to slide with you. So it's just keeping a balance on things.
Yeah, fantastic piece of advice. And look, Aimee, thanks so much for getting involved today. Some brilliant content in there, and really appreciate you being so open and honest with us today. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. It's been good.